I put out a little email saying, hey, I'm up for house concerts, because they're a big thing in the East Coast, and it was just a casual thing. And I think you'll have to talk to the rabbi about that, but I got emails on that, and then saying he's been a big fan of mine, and it was trying to figure out how to bring me here and bring me for an event at the temple, and I was excited. Sure, I mean it's going to be my new circuit, the synagogues from around. But and I don't know, we clicked, and it coincided also with a project that I'm working on, doing music for the play, not the movie, of Yentl.
I've always had an interest and have taken great pleasure in her music since 1995, when she had her breakthrough video of the song I Kissed a Girl. Very playful, lots of fun, features Fabio kind of doing a parody of himself. It was picked up by the folks at Beavis and Butthead, and so they made that one of their videos that they tracked at the height of their run, Beavis and Butthead's run. So that brought her into my consciousness. When I listened to the album titled Jill Sobule that I bought after I saw the video, I was really impressed with her as a performer, as a singer-songwriter, and especially as a storyteller. Please join me in welcoming to our Temple Israel stage the incomparable troubadour, Jill Sobule.
Thank you, guys. Okay, I could give you a choice. My one happy love song, a song about the anorexic at the gym, or a song about doing mushrooms in the 70s. You pick it. Okay, Bosnian War or mushrooms in the 70s? What? Okay, you got it. We're gonna do it. All right, this was, we used to go to the Battle of the Bands, and I'm from Colorado. I'm from mountain lands, and we used to see underneath the cow patties, there would be mushrooms. It sounds gross, doesn't it? We didn't care. Shelley were at Cinnamon Park, waiting for the Battle of the Bands. Betty's older brother had a bad reputation in a waterbed in his van. He said, hey, Chili Sue, I got something for you, something that'll blow your mind. We walked into his van and he opened his hand. He said, it's only Mother Nature, only Mother Nature. Cinnamon Park in the cinnamon days. We were so freaked out, but in a really good way. In a really good way, yeah, those were the days. I wish I could go back again. Billy had a talk box and a PV bass. Started feeling funny when they hit the stage. Betty was getting so shit-faced, and I could not stop laughing as it spun all around. How the clouds just kept moving, and they played the same songs, and they played the chords wrong. Never heard it better, never heard it better. Cinnamon Park in the cinema days. So freaked out, but in a really good way. In a really good way, yeah, those were the days. I wish I could go back again. Go back, yeah. Just like all the songs that you first learned how to play on guitar, I was thinking of, like. No, I'm not going to go there. Betty's now in rehab and she's using again. Her brother's unemployed but with a brand new van. Billy came in second in the battle of the bands. Wish I could go back again. Cinnamon Park in the cinema days. So freaked out, but in a really good way. In a really good way, yeah, those were the days. I wish I could go back again. Jenny came over and told me about Fred. He's such a hairy behemoth, she said. Dumb as a box of hammers, but he's such a handsome guy. And I opened up and I told about Larry, and yesterday how he asked me to marry, not giving him an answer yet. Think I can do better. And we laughed, compared notes. We had a drink, we had a smoke. She took off her overcoat. I kissed a girl. I kissed a girl. Called home to say she'd be late. Getting sorry, but now he feels safe. I'm glad you're with your girlfriend. Tell her hi for me. So I looked at you, you had guilt in your eyes, but it only lasted a little while. Then I felt your hand above my knee, and we laughed at the world. They can have their diamonds and we'll have our pearls. I kissed a girl. I kissed a girl. Well, I kissed a girl, her lips were sweet. She was just like kissing me. Kissed a girl won't change the world, but I'm so glad I kissed a girl. Well, I kissed a girl, changed the world, but I'm so glad I kissed a girl. Kissed a girl. I think I'm going to put it on my blog again. Beavis and Butthead, which are back now on MTV, they did. They spoofed on this song. It was so great. I loved it so much. But like I said, people were wigged out about it, and I got some calls, especially from, there was like Focus of the Family. You guys know about Focus? Yeah. And so I wrote just this little ditty song for that about. They said I was an evil influence on our youth of the nation, and I never felt so bad good in my life. I was like, God. Johnny's mom was worried. She caught him in the bathroom with a copy of GQ, the men's fall fashion issue. So she called her pastor, the respected Reverend Bean, who after a minute of silence said, I'll pray for thee. Under the disco ball, another child will fall, under the spell of leather and the big kick drum. They have a scheme, they have a plan to take the children of our land, turn them into stylists and women who play golf. That's it, really. I thought, like, after the golf line, there's no better lyrics I could write after that. There's no. Doing this project, you know, I'm not very kumbaya, and I'm a realist, but sometimes I do think there's reasons that things happen. Like doing this Yentl, coming here. Like I said, I grew up a very, very secular Jew in Denver, and have continued to be. But as I'm getting older, there's a sense of wanting to connect to my heritage
and to my religion in one way or another. And Yentl's interesting because it was how my great-grandparents lived in a shtetl in Poland. So, you know, there's all, I mean, as a hobo, I'm always on a journey, and this seems like a pretty good journey to be on.
It never occurred to me that there would be this connection between where Jill is in her life, where I happen to be in my life, what she's doing in terms of this Yentl project that she's working on, where I am in serving a congregation that has an enrichment committee budget, and especially the makeup of this congregation. This congregation is an extremely diverse group. One thing that they have in common is they're willing to try new things. This does represent something of an experiment by this congregation.
I think a lot of people can get stuck. And as an artist, the worst thing you can do, and I think that's why a lot of people think that artists lose it when they get to a certain age, because they're either stuck in the same thing and they know it works for them, so they keep doing it. Or say Neil Young, he's always trying new things. And so I think as I get older that you do have to push yourself to not be satisfied with being in one place and to continue to be adventuresome and curious. I'm as he told you, working on Yentl, and what I had to do was make, of course, we all know the Marilyn Bergman, the music, and so I had to do something completely different, so I thought I'd be kind of going folk klezmer punky, and also making her kind of a badass, you know? And I just saw I tried to avoid the movie because I have nothing, but I had to rent it a couple weeks ago. I hadn't seen it years ago. It's kind of funny. I'm not sure it ages that well. But my favorite part is when she turns it, because Yentl's kind of butch in the book. I mean, she, you know, there's a kind of transgender thing. But Barbara, when she turns into the boy and you see her, but she lifts her hand, and it's a perfect Beverly Hills coif nail for a boy. And they didn't have that in the shtetl. They didn't have those salons. So you guys are the first to actually hear these songs I'll try to maybe do a couple of them. But this is the scene where it's like at the very beginning where there's a monologue and she's talking about, but she's looks like Anshel, the boy, and talking about, you know, there once was this girl and everything, and you think it's a boy. Then all of a sudden you hear Dad going, "Yentl, are you still smoking my pipe?" Or, you know, and she's wearing his clothes, and all of a sudden she takes off the coat and you see it's actually a woman. So I'm making her, this is her song. Okay.
Boys get the books, we learn how to cook. We work on our looks and it's not that exciting. I didn't play with dolls, I never could knit. And where is it written I have to like this? And 4 days a month I'm hurting in pain. Why am I punished still for Eve's shame? Don't care about gossip even about me. I hate girl things. I hate girl things. And of course the klezmer violin is going nuts. What if God was so busy the day I was born? He got interrupted, someone came to the door, and right in the middle of making me, forgot to come back and finish the deed. Something is missing, or so I've been told. He gave me the brain and he gave me the soul. He gave me the sky, but I'm missing the wings. I hate girl things. I hate girl waste your time. I promise I never will be a good wife. I won't darn his socks and I'll poison the meal. I won't lay down no blood on the sheets. I just wanna read and argue all night. Dear Papa, why can't we smoke from the same pipe? A belly for babies, it's just not for me. I hate girl things. I hate girl things. Oh, I hate 'em. Oh, I hate 'em. Yay!
Even when I'm writing for another character, I mean, there's a certain, somehow I can't help but put myself into that other person, how they're thinking, and I'm automatically, so in a way, as a songwriter, some of my other characters are basic, like Yentl, I put a lot of me in that. So, for better or worse, I can't help it. I think for some reason, every one of my records has to have at least one Nazi reference, or World War II reference, and there was one like the Resistance song, which I'm going to play later, that I have these dreams serious, where I'm a resistance fighter and I'm fighting Nazis, and they're very exciting, you know, and then the Attic song, and I think part of that is you know, my Jewish heritage, and then there was times I thought maybe in another, you know, if I believed in that a lifetime ago, I was back then a resistance fighter, but then I think it was my mother was saying, no, it was probably because I breastfed you while we were watching Hogan's Heroes or something, you know. So that's my mother for you. But I'm going to play you a couple of those songs, and this is one you mentioned. And actually, this is interesting. I was going out, my boyfriend at the time, who's my best friend now, his dad was an actual fascist in France, and part of the big, during the Vichy regime, was a big wig. And yeah. And I got to meet him before he died, and he wasn't thrilled that his son, you know, first of all, he hated Americans, so it was kind of great. He brought home a Jewish American girl. Yeah. Anyway, so this was my song for him, for his son. Would you have hidden me in your attic? That's the question I'll never know. Would you have climbed up to serve me dinner? Well, I hope so. When the jackbooted men wore those great uniforms, would you have wanted the blackest? Would you have fitted me in your attic? And if, let's say, in some cafe we saw the tanks roll by, would you take my hand and lead me across the borderline? Would you have hidden me in your attic? If the neighbors accused me of casting spells and bowing down to the gods in hell, you would leave me there alone, or would you cast the very first stone? You wouldn't leave me there in pain, or pack me on that awful train. Would you have hidden me in your attic? Would you have hidden me in your attic?
in the course of my communication with Jill about the concert, coming to West Virginia and presenting her music, she asked me at one point just a digression question about Jewish heritage, and I answered it. And with that, developed a correspondence that was going to be useful to her to develop her understanding of how Jewish themes progressed related to the work that she was doing on the story of a young Jewish woman in 19th century Poland who was not going to be able to study the sacred Jewish texts because she was a woman and that was forbidden. So she masquerades as a young man.
I always say that I use the bad analogy if I'm Jewish as the Olive Garden is compared to Italian restaurants. You know, we grew up in Denver completely, you know, we had a Christmas tree and, you know, some bad Jews, you know, basically, you know. So with Yentl, I wanted to get into some of they have a lot of biblical references. And as we were talking about the event coming here, I asked him some questions. There's a reference of Jonathan and David and Yentl. So give me some story on that, or Jacob wrestling, the angel or God. And so he would send me like 2 pages of information and his thoughts. And so this has been a very fortunate coincidence.
As I've been working on Yentl, he's been my rabbi helping me with biblical questions. So, like I'll just do really quick. Do I have that one here? Really quick, if I can find something. So, this is just a really little weird song, but and I'm using actually this Lucy at the Gym music. But so I asked him in Yentl. Yentl, who's Anshel, the boy, is saying to her study partner, who's Mandy in the movie, remember that? Saying that we're like Jonathan and David. So I'm like, who are, you know, in the Bible? And I look and it's like, you know, in the book of Samuel's. And so this was a song I kind of, it's just a little ditty that's going to be in the middle. Jonathan and David in the book of Samuel, they were really close. They were best friends. Ba 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 ba. Jonathan's dad was the king of Israel. David was the bravest soldier in the land. When David came to court with the head of Goliath, Johnny got excited and was so turned on. Ba 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 ba. Then Jonathan and David in the book of Samuel, they were really close. They were best friends. They made a covenant for the rest of their lives, said their love surpassed those of their wives. Jonathan and David in the book of Samuel, they were really close, if you know what I mean. That's just it. You're giving me really good advice.
If you look at some of my lyrics, there seems to be a sensibility, a sense of self-mocking that seems very Jewish to me. I mean, someone could probably tell that there was probably a Jewish background. So, yeah, I mean, it colors my lyrical choices somehow.
They say a man's soul is in the candle flame. I watch you rise. I watch you rise and pray. You're still watching, and you can hear
So give me answers, not just tears. Where do I go now? What should I be? Nothing is written for someone like me. It is the last candle, you and me. Men give thanks that they weren't born a woman or a slave, and who can really blame them? So as the final light flickers, as you burn down, please forgive me or speak up now. Where do I go now? Who can I be? Where is it written for someone like me? It is the last candle. It is the last candle. It is the last candle for you and me. Papa, can you fucking hear me? I've got to somehow put that in. Last candle.
Jill's music is about, among other things, maintaining a social conscience, asking why things are the way they are. She's not a sermonizer. She doesn't hit you over the head with it, but she encourages the asking of questions.
Tomorrow the ground may shake, like they said it was bound to happen one day, and the Hollywood sign will fall, the final call. Well, don't you fret and don't be blue. You had me and I had you. It was a good life. It was a good, good life. It was a good life. It was a good, good life. Tomorrow we could all be gone, when the Russian gangsters sell the bomb and the waves come roaring from the sea. 100-foot swells over Venice Beach. Well, don't be scared and take my hand. We'll swim into the promised land. It was a good life. It was a good, good life. It was a good life. It was a good, good life. Tomorrow a tiny cell might grow, and everyone, and it's not the cold, or a hole in the sky will open wide. The aliens land on the 105. If it comes to that, what can we do? You had me and I had you. It was a good life. It was a good, good life. Everyone, it was a good life. It was a good, good life. I said a boom, boom, crash, crash underneath the overpass, burning buildings, flying glass. A good life. On the day the earth stood still, we won't have to pay our bills as the mud slides down the hill. A good life. We won't have to make our beds, break out the booze, and like I said, let's have a ball before we're dead. A good life. Let the pious rise above. We'll go down in our sweet love. It was
was a good. Will you guys sing one round with us? 1, 2, 3. It was a good life. 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 Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
My favorite fan crush, Jill Sobule, Julie Adams, Ron Soule.
Julie, Ron, and my rabbi.
Join us for the reception. Stick around. Hobnob.